Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, both of you, or all of you. That was not appropriate. Gosh, what do I want to say? First I want to say, it's God's church, okay? Make no bones about it. Have no questions about that. Y'all can hear me in the back. Heather, you hear me fine? Kim? Oh, morning, Scott. I didn't know you were here. It's God's church, and I'll phrase it like this, and you all forgive me. I'm not being anything but honest. It's Carrie and Jonathan's baby. They've been here for 2 years. They've invested heart and soul into this. And with that in mind, what an honor I feel for Carrie to trust me to stand up here. Avaria said, "Oh, Rick, you're going to preach this morning." I said, "Avaria, at the end of it, you might say he preached, or you might just say he talked a lot." So we'll see what the next few minutes hold. Quick story, the first time, and I told Nick this morning, Nick and I spent about 30 minutes, and it was valuable time to me. Thank you, Nick. Everything that I ever did in church was 20 years ago. I don't know when it was all 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, the pastor at Brentwood asked me several times if I would get up and preach. And I always blew him off, no. Finally, I said, okay. And I had about a month's prep time ahead of me. So time-wise, I was in good shape, but it was terrifying. So I prepared. Now it's Friday. In 2 days, Sunday's coming, and I'm gonna stand up here. And I'm as nervous as I can possibly be. I'm walking around Costco on this Friday, pushing my cart. I stop an employee to ask them where something is or something. We have a brief conversation. I continue on with my cart. I turn the corner at the end of the aisle, and there's a couple standing there. They had been standing there while I had the conversation with the employee. And I turned the corner, and it was an older couple, and the old lady, they were probably my age now, but anyway, the old lady says, "Are you a preacher? You have a voice like a preacher." And I thought, you know those God moments, you say, well, I saw God's hand in my life. I heard the angels sing. That was just enough to enable me on that Sunday to get up there in the pulpit and fumble and stumble my way through. So with that in mind, and Scott, don't do anything yet, excuse me. Okay, one last thing. I'm learning to hydrate also. One last thing, so here we are, July 4th, 250 years of this country, and what's our byword? It's freedom. People are busting the doors down trying to get into this country. Why? Because of freedom. Regardless of what anybody says, freedom. So here's my question. If we truly have freedom, should a man feel safe in his house? With that new term, how we use safe. Well, I don't feel safe when you say these words or whatever. Should a man feel safe in his house? Ponder that for a second, then I got something to add to it. Okay, enough pondering. So my dearly beloved, Susie, who's back there shaking her head at me right now, she likes to do Bible study in the morning. She's been reading the Bible. She goes off to another room, or maybe on the back deck. This particular day, this past week, she went out on the back deck. It was nice early in the morning. I'm in my office, and actually I'm working on this some. She goes out on the back deck and she does her Bible reading. She's reading the book of Matthew. So she comes back in. I hear the sliding door open, close. I hear the pitter-pat of tiny feet. And I hear from the dining room, "Repent, sinner!" Well, I don't feel safe in my house. Okay. So anyway, I'll leave you to that to ponder. Scott, do you have a picture there, please? Oh, anybody, it's a little bit, morning, Lynn. It's a little bit small, but does anybody recognize who that is? Who is it? Who is it?
It's Keith.
It's McKeever. It's Keith. It's Keith. This is yesterday morning. I hope he forgives me because he's probably going to live. He doesn't know he's going to be the center of attention here this morning. This was yesterday morning that he sent me this. We've been staying in touch. He was getting ready to go march in a 4th of July parade. He's in Newport, Rhode Island. He graduates from school a week from this past Friday. You can't see him real well, but he's wearing his ensign on his collar. Anyway, I brought that picture to make a point. First off, I wore the uniform for some years, and I was always proud to wear it. I still tear up. Any of you been to International Tattoo? If you haven't been, you need to go. I went to International Tattoo a few years ago, and it was all I could do to keep just from crying through the whole thing. I just love military discipline, marching, cadence, teamwork, groups, every adjective you can put under there or noun. I just love it. And Keith sent me that picture yesterday morning, and I felt so proud of him. I just felt so proud of him. And I even want to make a point with that, and it's this. I told him in my text, I said, Keith, you know, sometimes I tear up at men in uniform, et cetera, et cetera. So he texted me back and he said, don't go crying on me now. And the first thought that came to my mind, this is my advice to you this morning. The first thought that came to my mind was, Keith's 35, I'm 75. How proud I was of him as if he were a son. And I texted this back to him immediately, and this is my point. I said, just gonna say it quick before it passes, ... I couldn't be prouder if you were my own son. Here's my advice to you. When those thoughts come to mind like that, say it immediately. Immediately. Don't edit it. Don't think about it. Don't change it. Trust yourself and pass that along to that person. That's coming straight out of your heart, and that's how it needs to get to them. That's my advice to you on this morning. And I'm going to give that a name. 40 years, the other things I ever did were all 40 years ago. 40 years ago, I read a book called The 1 Minute Manager. Ring a bell? Nick said it rang a bell with him. He hadn't read it. Anyway, I think that's where I got that from, and I'm calling that a 1 minute compliment. I'll give you another example, then we'll move on. Susie and I, every day, I've told you, we go to the boat dock, we watch the boats coming in and out, we get a cup of coffee, and we sit there and chat. Saturday before last, we went to the boat dock with our cup of coffee, and we made 5 phone calls, 5 of our 6 kids. We missed the 6th one, that's not important. The 5 calls that we made, we did essentially with this. It just popped into mind, said, let's do this. There were 5 kids, 5 very specific, very clear recent events of things that they had done, something nice or something smart or whatever. It didn't have to even be big. In fact, it shouldn't be big. We called all of them, said, Jeff or whoever, Just going to keep you for a minute. No long conversation. Just wanted to call and congratulate you on A, B, and C, what you did yesterday. Thought it was absolutely great. Love you. Have a great day. Click. Hang up the phone. I'm telling you that because that's going to lead all the way into winter, which is what we're going to talk about at the end of this thing. Learn how to do this. Make that a habit in your life. Look for those good things in those people around you, even the smallest things, and comment on them all the time. Make them very brief comments, but comment on them all the time. All that stuff that you've been doing, and I'm not pointing fingers because I don't know how you all live your lives out there. All that stuff you've been doing about you say you need to fix this and you need to scratch it. Let all of that go. Look for those good things in those people. Okay, moving on. So, but kind of on the same topic, Ecclesiastes 12:1. And Scott, you can just leave that up there. He's so good to look at. Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. That's how we're going to start this today. That's essentially how we're going to end this today. Here's the point in the vernacular. Find God early because you're going to need him eventually anyway. One of our grandsons, we have 10. We just had another great grandkid Friday, as a matter of fact. I think we have 4. Thank you. One of our grandsons graduated high school a few weeks ago, and his mom, to her credit, and I thought this was really nice, she just made up some little cards, and it was so you could give advice to the graduate. Maybe you've seen these things, I don't know. And it says something like, always remember blank, or do this every day, you know, just little things like that, and you're just going to handwrite something in there. So he graduated, and one of the things that I said to him was, find God early, because you're going to need him eventually anyway. So that went on that card. I hope that card follows him. So we'll see about all that. Everything else that I say today is dependent on that. Everything else I say today is dependent on that. Find God early, because you're going to need him eventually anyway. Some of you in here may not have found God yet. At some age, maybe you're gray, whatever, it doesn't matter. Today is always the day. If you haven't made that leap, today is always the day to do it. And there's no risk in doing it and moving forward with it, leaving everything else in the past. Here's my main point. Be determined to determine how you want your winter to be. I'm going to say my age again. I get tired of saying this in here because I hope y'all don't get, I don't get tired of it. I hope y'all don't get tired of it. I'm 75 years old. I'm way different from everybody else in here. All the rest of you are 30 or 40 or something like that. That's a big age difference. What I'm talking about today, where this is coming from, is from conversations with Jonathan and with Carrie in the early months of this year. Because in the early months of this year, I kind of had reached this thing and I said, well, you know, I'm old. I'm old. My health is suspect, to say the best, or to say the least. My career is over. All of that is real. All of that is, and Marcia, I had talked to Marcia about it a couple of months ago, and she said, I have a book at home, and the name of the book is, Do I Still Matter? And that puts it all into one sentence, do I still matter? I'm 75, health, age, all of that, do I still matter? And I really was, and I wasn't morose about it, I wasn't sad, I wasn't down in the dumps. I just kept thinking, do I still matter? I don't challenge, never challenge the world to any great extent anyway, but I don't challenge the world. I'm not out there. Do I still matter? Do I still matter? And all of you, the statistics say that all of you are going to reach your winter years. The average age of a man, the death of a man is 76.5. I'll be 76 in November, so y'all can pray for me when you get time. We're all going to reach winter, probably. one of the things I want to say to you this morning. You have a choice about how your winter is going to be. Barring the unforeseen circumstances of life, God's in control. God makes everything happen or allows it to happen, whatever. I shouldn't even say that, because not barring the circumstances. In spite of the circumstances of life, you have a choice how your winter is going to be. Job, if you go back and read Job, he's my example for that. Okay. Be determined to determine how your winter will be. Will it be joyful? Will it be lonely and sad? It's up to you. It's up to you. Even again, in spite of the circumstances that come along, in spite of the trials, in spite of the tribulation, in spite of all those problems that come along, Job encountered all of those problems, and he still came out of them on the other side looking at his Father. In the winter of Job's life, after everything went wrong, he still had his eyes pointed upward. Okay. Spring. We got spring, summer, winter, fall. Spring. In spring, this is my characterization here. You might go read some author somewhere who puts life into the four seasons, who puts life into the four seasons and all of that kind of thing. And he may put it together differently than I did. This is just me. In spring, you as teacher. What do you mean, you as teacher? In spring, most of us, many of us, have our children. That other author is going to say that the child is in the spring. I'm saying the child is already there, your child, and you are in the spring of that child's life. What's your obligation to that child? Your obligation to that child is to prepare that child to meet God someday, because that child is too young to understand the concept of God, right? Nick and I talked this morning. Lydia, how old is Lydia?
2.
She's 2. How far are you going to get if you sit down and say, Lydia, let me tell you about God? You're going to talk, and she's going to be wondering when we're going to get Fruit Loops or something, right? She's not going to understand. She's too young. She's too young. So, what do? You are, I'm not being blasphemous, you are God in your, and I'm speaking mostly to dads now, but moms, you are God in your home. You are the lawgiver in your home. Okay? The child looks up to you. Lydia looks up to Nick and Kristen. That child looks up to you. What kind of example, what kind of model you set for the child? Do you set a harsh model? Then when that child reaches, we'll call it the age of accountability, and starts to come in contact with the concepts of sin and salvation and God and Jesus and all of that, if the parent was a harsh, legalistic, judgmental parent, what is the child's expectation of God? It's what I know, right? How about if the parent models love, compassion, forgiveness, expected teaching, because we can be too soft? What if we model those things for that child when he or she is that big? When that child comes to the age of accountability, and we start talking about God, or in Sunday school or wherever they start hearing the conversation about God, what is their preconceived notion of God? It's your choice. That's part of why you come here, is for that guidance and that reminder and that teaching and that training. training to enable you to go back home and model that for your child. That's spring. Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. So what and how will you teach them? You will teach them who their Creator is. You will model for them the love and the discipline of their Creator. And remember this, the preparation that you are doing with that child every day as you model is ensuring that they won't hit a culture shock when they hit that age of accountability and they start coming face to face with God, with Jesus Christ. You're preparing them to not have a culture shock. Model for them an expectant God and a quickly forgiving God. Okay, I've got 3 points here. Number 1, learn to praise every accomplishment. Remember the 1-minute compliment a minute ago? Learn to praise every accomplishment. You've already gotten excellent at condemning every failure. Why not switch that to praise every accomplishment? It's simply a tiny switch of a habit. And believe me, this will get you way more mileage than you're getting with that criticism. Way more mileage. Okay. 70 years ago, Grandma, and my sister Lynn is sitting back there too, so she knows who Grandma was. And I can picture this, I can remember it. Grandma lived on East Bay Drive in Olympia, Washington. Old beat up house on the edge of the hill, looking out across the street was the Puget Sound right there. Tugboats coming by. It was absolutely beautiful. It wasn't fancy. This was not a vacation spot. They had a wood stove and but wow. We were out on the sidewalk. I'm going to say that I was 4 years old or something. It was a beautiful day. I remember Mrs. Olson lived next door. And what I really remember about Ms. Olson was she had a cherry tree. And when those cherry trees were in season, it was just the best thing in the world. Grandma said to Mom, whoever else was standing there, Ricky knows everybody's name on the street. You think, so what? Ricky knows everybody's name on the street. I vividly remember that, and that little tiny compliment that she gave me helped to shape my life for the next 70 years, because with rare exceptions, and I lost Lydia's name this morning, Nick had to help me, I hit about 80% of people's names, meeting them the first time. Linda, glad you came to visit with us this morning. Why? I think it came from that. She complimented, she said, she praised me. Ricky knows everybody's name on this street. And it stuck. And it created a habit in me that I have lived with for the next 70 years. You see how powerful that is? How powerful that is? She could have said, you really need to remember everybody's name. Maybe I would. I don't know. You pick. Number 2, be brief in your corrections. Skip the part that you've been doing that says, I'll forgive you this time, but stop it at, I'll forgive you, and be done with it. You know the old, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away? You gave a compliment, you gave a wonderful, whatever. I'll forgive you, but then I took it back. What do I remember when I walk away when you said, I'll forgive you? I don't remember you saying, I'll forgive you. I remember the threat that followed the but. Okay? Just to have it. Just to have it. And finally, forgive easily. Who is our model for forgive easily? Isn't it God? Doesn't God say, come to me and ask forgiveness, and your sins will be as far as from the east to the west or what? He doesn't say, come to me with a long conversation, with begging, or he says, come to me with sincerity in your heart and ask me for forgiveness, and it's done. Just like that. Can't we do that? Can we forgive those kids and be done? Not carry it forward just in case you do it again. All right, wrap up this. Model for them, a loving father, a teacher/training father. There's an expectancy there. It's not soft, it's gentle, but it's expectant. Model for them, a humble father. You ever thought about saying, I'm sorry to your kids? Meaning it? What are you doing? You're teaching them that it's okay to make a mistake, and you're teaching them how to handle that mistake. You know, I yelled at you the other day about this. We disagreed on it, but I'm sorry in the way that I handled it. I could have done better. That's not weakness, that's training. And finally, model for them a proud father. I'm not his dad, but I'm proud of him and what he represents. Don't talk about it, be about it. That's from Susie. Summer, you as worker. Ecclesiastes 2:1-10. I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. Cheer my body with wine. Great works. Obviously, this is a compilation. I built houses and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks. I planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I had great possessions of herds and flocks. I gathered silver and gold and treasure. And he says, Solomon says in Ecclesiastes, I became great. Solomon had the means, the money, the methods, the power. Solomon had everything he needed to accomplish everything that he ever could imagine or dream of doing. And he did it. And he said, I became great. Famous last words. Ecclesiastes 2:11. Then I considered all that my hands had done and the toil that I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity and a striving after the wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. I did it. I became great. No one in Jerusalem before me was as great as me, and it was empty. Why? It was empty because Solomon did it for his glory, his personal glory. There's no mention in there of him doing that. He built temples, or I don't know what all he did, and he put God's name on them. But were they for God's glory? No. It was for his glory. And that will always end up empty. Remember, we're heading towards winter here, right? Okay. So, be careful. Don't let fame and fortune define you, because these things won't last. Jonathan talks about what? 3 miles an hour, right? Live at 3 miles per hour. In the summer of your life, you got kids, you got a job, you're accumulating wealth, you're accumulating, you're busy doing all that. You ain't living at 3 miles an hour, you're living at 5. You're going as fast as you possibly can. Be careful, because in that speed, in that busyness, in all that demands of life, Sunday comes up and you say, man, I've been working so hard this week, I'm just gonna lay here. Is that a sin? No. But it's insidious. And it becomes a way of life, and it's a turning away. Solomon turned away. It's a turning away. And remember that. So be careful, because that 5 miles per hour of summer life can throw you. Okay, another caution. Be careful. Recognize that in the summer of your life, and how old is summer? You guys can put an age on it if you want to. What is summer? Summer is the beginning of adulthood. It's starting a family. It's starting a career. It's all of that busyness. Okay, that's summer, generally. But recognize this, there is no experience here. Maybe I got education. Maybe I got a master's degree in something. Maybe I'm, in my mind, the smartest guy that ever walked the face of the earth. I am as dangerous as I can possibly be, because I have no experience to temper what I think I know.
That's right.
Kids graduate from college, and Lord help me, I got the world by the tail now. Watch me. This place is going, by the time I get done, this world is going to be a different place when I get finished with it. College kids are like, how did I put that? We're like a new college graduate with a backpack full of theory and no experience to back it up. Why? I just put down one thing, there's probably more. Because we're not prepared for the nature of man. We've got formal education, but we don't know anything about people. I did quite a bit of studying on this and found it very interesting that in the job market right now, because the job market for these young people right now is so competitive. What's the tiebreaker in the job market now? Okay, we go out into the job market armed with that sheepskin hanging on the wall and how smart we are. Here's the tiebreaker. The tiebreaker is, what human relation skills do we carry into those interviews? Do we carry out into there? We lead with our technical skills. I know how to do so-and-so. If you go back and study, because I did, the people doing the hiring, right near the top, right at the top of the list of their criteria is, how does this person appear to get along with people? The MBA with the 4-point whatever GPA, the smartest guy in his class, is not the guy who gets the job if the hiring person perceives that this person is arrogant, thinks they're too smart. Add to it whatever you want to. Okay. In the summer of our lives, we are educated formally, we are not prepared for the nature of man. Here's the example for that. Right now, and many of you are seeing this in the news, there's this big push towards socialism in the country, towards government taking care of us and how that will work, and it will smooth out all the wrinkles and the ripples, and everyone will be equal and the outcomes will be equal and all of that stuff. Socialism on paper looks like a winner. Socialism in reality fails every time. Why? Because socialism is based on me only reaching into the pot and taking out what I need. Is that my nature? Absolutely not. When we go to visit our lawyer, the girl there keeps this little thing of candy on the counter. Do you think I take one piece? No. I take a Snickers. I take a Twix. Nothing wrong with that, but you see the point. You see the point. We go out into the world armed with all of its education, and we have no experience to back it up. I'm sorry, what time is it? I don't
10:58.
say again?
10:58.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap up here. We're in fall. Okay, what's the characterization of fall? We were working a minute ago in summer. In fall now, we have aged some, we have experience now. Our experience is still growing, but we have some experience under our belt. We are more now leaders than we were. We were leaders of our children. Then we went out into the workforce. We're still leaders of our children. We are incorporating many other people into our lives. Now we're in fall, and we are becoming either formal leaders with a title, I'm the manager, or informal leaders, meaning people who don't have a title, but who people naturally follow anyway. Okay, that's two different leaders, but they both count. That's where we are right now. In fall, we are leaders. For everything there is a season. There's a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant. I'm not going to finish all that because all of you know that. But connect the dots here. Connect the dots with all of those things. There's a time for, there's a time for, there's a time for, there's a time for. In spite of how smart I think that I am or how much experience I have, these things are mandated by God and these happen. I can't control those things. I have no control over those things. Now, I'm going to throw out the word wisdom. Now I'm becoming wise because I'm understanding this. I'm understanding that when I went out with my briefcase full of theory to change the world, I understand now. I look back and I think, boy, did you look foolish. Because I did. To the people around me with experience, I did look foolish. And I was. But now in the fall of my life, I am gaining, if I'm paying attention, I'm gaining some wisdom to temper all of this. Wisdom, but. Wisdom helps, but it can't guarantee outcomes. What does that mean? Most of you are familiar with the book of Job. In the very first, I think it's the very first book, the very first verse of the very first chapter, we're painted this picture of Job. Job is God's man. Job is, as far as human beings are concerned, Job is the epitome of what we could ever aspire to be in God's eyes. Not in human eyes. Well, human eyes too, because Job was loaded. He had flocks, he had herds, he had money, he had treasure. He had a big family. That was a huge possession back in those days too. Job was loaded in human terms, and he was the model in God's terms. We would look up to Job. Prosperity gospel. Most of you have heard of that. Prosperity gospel would predict that Job was just going to get better and better and better, right? Prosperity gospel is a big fat lie.
Amen.
It sends people down the wrong path. And I'm afraid for those people. I'm afraid for those people that in Matthew 25, when Jesus says, "Go away from me because I never knew you," that the prosperity gospel people are going to be in the front of that line. I'm going to say it's sad because they were led in the wrong direction and they never found the right direction. So, where was I? That was off track. Wisdom helps but can't guarantee outcomes. Job was it. And he lost his family. He lost his wealth. He lost his herds. He lost everything but his wife, who talked bad about him. She was left. So in spite of all of that, Job's outcome, his ultimate outcome, was to regain all of that. But boy, oh boy, in the meantime, life crashed around him. What's my point? Your wisdom, your experience, all that you know, because the world doesn't respond to you, and it can all go away from you. What do I want to say there? I just want to say, be ready, because in spite of all the tragedy that Job experienced, he still kept his eyes on God. We can still get into winter joyful, peaceful, okay? Suggestion, in fall of your life. In summer, you were doing 5 miles an hour. Jonathan's saying you need to do 3. When you get into fall of your life, at least slow down to 4, okay? So you can pay a little bit closer attention to what's going on. Turn from fame and fortune to God. Perfect your superpower of encouragement. You remember the 1-minute compliment? Work on perfecting that, because when you get into the winter of your life and your health is gone and your age, your strength, all of those things, technology has passed you. You can't even be a help to the people who are doing the same job you used to. When all of that is gone, when all of that is taken away from you, you still have the power, the superpower of encouragement to be a help to those around you. And all of you have had this experience. I hope you've had it a million times. When you encourage someone, he sent me that because he and I have had some good, tight conversations. And I tried to listen. I probably talked too much, and I'm not kidding about that. But they were valuable conversations. And he sent me that because he's proud. Okay? There's a point there. You can figure it out. Perfect your superpower of encouragement, but now learn to use the power of reflection. You've seen much of what works and what doesn't. Number 1, I got 3 things here. Accept the true nature of man. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. What we think people should do is irrelevant. Save yourself a lot of heartache dealing with those people as they are, not how you think they should be. Save yourself all that heartache and stop saying, well, they ought to do this and they ought to do that, and if they would do so and so. Let it go. You're creating turmoil where it doesn't need to be created. Let it go. Number 2, see God's hand in your life where you didn't realize it at the time when it was happening. I told you about my experience at Costco. Do you know how many times I have reflected back on that in the years since then? In the 20 or 30 times that I've stood in a pulpit, I've reflected back on that every time. Do you know how many times I've reflected back on Grandma saying, Ricky knows everybody's name on the street? Use the power of reflection. Joshua 4, we won't go into it, but I'll be brief. God told Joshua to build that monument there when they got across the river and the river was dry, and God performed a miracle and all of that stuff. And when they got to the other side, God said, Joshua, build a monument here. And in the future, when your kids come and ask you, what is that monument for? Joshua, tell them about me. Tell them about what I did for you. Build those monuments in your own mind. Those are not idols. Those are monuments. And learn the power of reflection. See God's hand in your life where you didn't realize. The power of reflection. Susie and I have seen God's hand many times in our lives, and we talk about it. Recognize this too. Remember, we're talking about wisdom here. I don't know if this fits here, but I'm going to say it. Remember now in the fall of your life that your kids are in the summer of their lives. Guide them. Don't criticize them. They already know what they're doing wrong. They don't need all of that wisdom from you about how they're doing it wrong. Look for those opportunities to encourage them. And take every one of those opportunities, because they're in that summer of their life when they're out there with their briefcase full of theory, they're changing the world, they're making fools of themselves and they don't even know it, and they're trying to raise their kids, but they don't know how to do that either. You're in the fall of your life. Recognize where those kids are. They're in the summer of their lives. And be patient and gentle, but firm with them. I will just say this about that. Susie and I, between the two of us, because second marriage for both of us, we have 6 kids. How often do we say, all of our kids still love coming to visit with us? That's a home run. The girls go to Susie and say, well, one of them calls her mom, 2 of them call her Suze. What do you think about this? What do I do?
That's good.
We're in winter. Is that a blessing?
Mm-hmm.
That's a home run.
It is.
But you got to earn it.
That's right.
All right, here we go. Now we're in winter. Okay, in fall, you were the leader. Now in winter, you are the leader emeritus. What does emeritus mean? Emeritus, the definition is retired, but retaining one's formal title as an honor. Okay, so now you are the leader emeritus in your world. All right, Ecclesiastes 12:13. This is the end of the matter. All has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Jonathan talks about walking through life at 3 miles an hour, walking through life and Jesus walking beside him. Okay? Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Keep God in every step of your life, everywhere you go. Look back and say, Lord, what do I need to do about this? Remember, we're working our way into winter. Now, we can slow down to 3 miles an hour, or better yet, let's do 2. Know that this is a time for much reflection. I promise I am wrapping up here. Know that this is a time for much reflection. And I want to encourage you to reflect on one thing, maybe more: regrets. Okay? Kids are in summer. Some of the things we did it right, some of the things we did it wrong. We're seeing the evidence now in what they do, right? Okay? We look back and we say, man, I sure dropped the ball there.
Yep.
Or I sure could have done that better. We have regrets, right? Okay, what do we tend to do with regrets? Well, our briefcase full of theory, we dumped all that theory out a while back, but we still got the briefcase. What do? We pack all our regrets in that briefcase, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
It just gets heavier and heavier and heavier. No, there's a better way. Unpack those regrets. Take them apart, lay them out, study them with your Bible beside you. Do I need to forgive? Then do it. Do I need to ask forgiveness? Then do it. Do I need to apologize? Then do it. Okay? Do those things. Do those things. Now, you got one thing left, and that's the lesson from it. Keep the lesson. That's in the briefcase. All the rest is gone. Okay? It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. That also can be a habit. Number 2, recognize that you now have a master's degree in the superpower of encouragement. Because you've been doing it so long, and it's such an ingrained habit in you. And when you look at somebody, you can't help but look and say, what do I admire about that person? What do I like about that person? What did that person do that I thought was just the greatest thing in the world? Recognize that you have a master's degree in the superpower of encouragement. We're going into winter. No. We're in winter. All right. I'm going to give this to you. mostly family outing that we had a year or something ago, when we went to Petersburg and we stayed in a big haunted house. It was terrible. It was an Airbnb. I was scared. The house was 180 years old. One of our daughters-in-law had rented this thing, and she said, "Oh, well, she believes in ghosts." Anyway, we stayed in a haunted house in Petersburg, and it was a great big old house, and there was a big handful of us staying there. So we got up on Sunday morning, and Susie cooked a big, wonderful breakfast. And the rest of us sat over to the side and we talked. And Kevin is Susie's. Kevin was 9 when we got married. Kevin is a story in itself. And I'll tell you all the story in bits and pieces as we go through time. Kevin said in the middle, and we were talking about serious stuff. In fact, my daughter-in-law was sitting there with kind of like Jonathan and Carrie. She had her book out and she was writing, and I mean, we were having a good, serious conversation. And let me tell you what Kevin said. Kevin said, if I did 10 things and I got one right, Rick talked about the one. It was all I could do to keep from crying like a little girl. This is winter. I told Nick this morning, Mark, who is the oldest, Mark is 48, getting ready to be 49. And he reminds me periodically, Dad, you told me one time, and I don't remember this. Dad, you told me one time, when somebody smarter than you is talking, shut up. Can you have joy in wintertime?
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. So, recognize that you have a master's degree in the superpower of encouragement. Okay. Number 3, prepare to move full circle back to spring. This is a whole new start. Career is behind. Health is gone. All of that is done. But we're still breathing in winter. It's a whole new start at a new, well, not a new skill set, because we've got encouragement. We know how to be cheerleaders now. We've got all that under our belt. But we're in a totally new phase of our life. This is not a continuation of the other phases. Those phases are gone. We're in a whole new phase now. Prepare to move full circle back to spring. Make up your mind to improve and use a new skill set, and I put down here 2 things. Be a cheerleader and be a coach. Because you can't tell those kids what to do anymore. They're 40, they're 50. You can't tell them what to do anymore. But if you have their trust, if you invested and have gained their trust over the years, the girls are going to come and say, Mom, Susie, what do you think? You have 2 skills in the winter. You are a cheerleader and you're a coach. You're not the boss anymore. When you speak, if they listen, it's because you've earned the right in their eyes to speak. You can tell when you look at them. Are they looking at you and tuning you out? Are they not interested because over the years you told them so many times what to do, how to do it, and how they did it wrong? Did you invest? Okay. I'll end with this. This whole thing, the conversations that I had with Carrie and Jonathan, circled around this question, am I still relevant? I'll just read these. Relevance is active, not passive. Encouragers are always relevant. Just as speakers are irrelevant without listeners, doers are irrelevant without supporters. If we can't do anymore because we're in winter and our muscles have done this, we can still support. You want a bottle of water while you're digging that ditch? We can still support, even though we can't do. Okay, last question. Do I still have value? And here's my example for this. August 18th is coming. There's an old man, I'm calling him an old man because he's 79, that I play pool with. His name is Henry. And he and I played pool. First time I met him, we've only played twice. I don't really know him. I say hi to him now when we pass. But the first time we played was pretty close to a year ago. And after we got done playing, and he beat me pretty well, but that's something else. When we got done playing, we sat down for a few minutes and chatted. And I didn't, I'm not bragging or anything, I'm just saying one of the things that I enjoy doing, and therefore I enjoy doing it well. I enjoy learning about people. I'm really curious about people, where you're from, what you do, how you got there. I'm just, it's a natural curiosity, and I'm very, very thankful that I have that curiosity. It's a good one to have. So Henry and I sat down and chatted. Well, out comes his story. He says, I'm 79, and I put this on my calendar as a reason that I know of August 18th. When I got home that day, I put this on my calendar. August 18th is Henry's birthday. I'm 79, August 18th. If I live long enough, I'll be 80 years old. If I live that long to make 80, I'll be the first one in my family to live that long. Everybody else has died before that. And he said it not sad, not morose, not scared, but almost as if he didn't expect to make that deadline. So I put that on my calendar. And you know what? On August 18th, if we're playing pool, I'll see him. If we're not, he'll get a text that day. And I'll say, happy birthday, Henry. But why did I put that down? Do I still have value? August 18th is Henry's birthday. He'll be 80. He'll be the first in his family to reach 80. And I just put this down, do with this what you will. If he didn't have value, God would have already taken him, I think. And I believe that. So, that's my example of do I still have value. Okay, I've taken up a lot of time. Will you pray with me? Lord, thank you for this opportunity again, for the trust invested in me by Carrie and Jonathan. Lord, I pray that every word that was spoken today was the truth, that can stand beside your Bible proudly. Lord, I pray that your message today was clear. And Lord, I know that I say message, we all get a different message in here, and that's the way your book is written, and that's the way your word is spoken, and that's okay. So Lord, I pray that all of the messages today were clear and understandable. Lord, I pray that each one of us today, myself included, will walk out of here with something new, something to ponder over, something to think about. Lord, maybe even in the best case, something to talk about our spouse with. Lord, thank you for this church. Lord, in my mind, I'm looking back at Keeve in that picture now. Lord, thank you for all of the people who come to this church and then get sent out. So Lord, with that, I pray for Keeve. He graduates Friday. Next stop after that will be Camp Lejeune, working in the hospital there, using the skill set that you've given him, that he has practiced for some years now, and that is of helping people. What a wonderful skill set. And Lord, in particular, in his case, as we're praying for him, he's your child, and at Camp Lejeune especially, he'll be out there in that secular world. Lord, not that he's alone, because you're always with him, with us. But Lord, he's venturing even more out into that world now, armed with your word. Give him confidence, give him courage. Lord, let him him be a blessing to so many out there as he has been to us here. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen. Communion, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Rick. I've known Rick for less than a year now, but if you spent any time with him, you'll learn that he doesn't have his master's degree. He's got his PhD in the superpower of encouragement. How many of you knew that yesterday was the 4th of July? Everybody, right? And we know that because it's Independence Day, right? This one was a big one. It was the 250th anniversary of our Independence Day. Tying this into communion. So the Jews had the nation of Israel had their Independence Day. That was the Passover. It was their deliverance from Egypt. God delivered them from Egypt. He and then gave them the holiday, as it were, for them to celebrate that deliverance. So every year, their biggest holiday, the biggest festival, most of them would go up to Jerusalem to celebrate. This was for the Passover. But as part of the Passover as well, they had a sacrifice. Still, every year they sacrificed a lamb to show that they still needed atonement and deliverance from sin. I'm going to read from Luke chapter 22, the passage about communion here in Luke 22. I'm going to start in verse 7. Then came the day of unleavened bread, on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. So Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and prepare the Passover for us, that we may eat it." They said to him, "Where will you have us prepare it?" He said to them, "Behold, when you have entered the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him into the house that he enters, and tell the master of the house, 'The teacher says to you, where is the guest room, where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' And he will show you a large upper room furnished. Prepare it there." And they went and found it just as he had told them, and they prepared the Passover. When the hour came, he reclined at table, and the apostles with him. And he said to them, "I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God." And he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he said, "Take this and divide it among yourselves, for I tell you that from now on I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes." So this is Jesus with his disciples. They're celebrating this meal, this remembrance of the Passover. And Jesus here, it goes on, we'll get to in a minute, goes on to say, in effect, he's establishing a new time of remembrance. And this isn't remembrance of independence from Egypt. This is the remembrance of independence from sin. The day of salvation, the ultimate day of liberation. Almost every culture has some day that they celebrate either their independence or some time when their nation or their people were saved from something. Because it is something that we want to remember, and Jesus establishes this meal of communion for us to get together and remember him. If those who are asked to serve communion could please come up. Just want to say a couple more things before we partake. This is a meal of remembrance of what Jesus has done, but we don't want to take it lightly. And it is for those who have given their lives to Jesus, surrendered to Him. And if you haven't done that yet, take the time to do that today. Have this be your day of salvation, the day of independence. But if you haven't, please don't partake. But first get that priority of making your heart right with God. At this time, if when you're ready, if you want to just come out the outside aisles and then back down the center, and